This is the brand spanking new Vectiv Enduris from the North Face. After years of development, the Vectiv line is the brand's big dive back into the trail space. And in short, it's exciting, but subtly familiar. The Enduris represents the most affordable and highest stack option from the Vectiv line, and is a shoe a lot of runners will feel right at home in. It's responsive, comfortable, adaptable, and can handle a lot of what we throw at it. Now, it's not the TPU, Pebax, or carbon plates that excite me, it's the rocker shape of the midsole that is this shoe line's biggest ace. Now, if you remember the Pearl Izumi line of trail shoes from 5 years ago, you'll feel that familiar rockered shape underfoot that wants to constantly keep you moving forward. Despite its similar looks, the Enduris is a significantly different feeling shoe than its more expensive and carbon-plated counterpart, the Flight Vectiv, which I also reviewed today. So now, after nearly 200 miles in the Vectiv Enduris, I'm excited to share a lot of my thoughts, both good and bad, on this shoe. It's a shoe I think a lot of you will enjoy. Let's dive in.
Ginger Runner.
What is up, everybody? Ethan Newberry, the Ginger Runner, here for another Ginger Runner review. Today, we're going to be talking all about the North Face's brand new Vectiv Enduris. This shoe is super exciting. It's one that I've been putting a ton of miles on. I've been running in this for quite some time. Clearly, it's quite dirty and no longer as pristine white as a brand new pair, but that's the whole point of trail shoes. You got to get them dirty. This isn't the only review that I'm posting today. I'm also talking about the Flight Vectiv in a separate review. This is the more expensive counterpart. Link up in the corner as well as in the description if you want to find out more information about this shoe. And as always, before we dive into the likes and dislikes about the Enduris, I have to point out that they were provided for review by the North Face. I'm under no obligation to say anything about the shoe. I have the freedom to say whatever I want, which is what I always do. Full disclosure, I did work with Caitlin Gerbin and Dylan Bowman, both North Face athletes, to film their FKTs around Mount Rainier. That movie, this review, two separate things. If you haven't already seen my movie, Summer of Wonder, there will be a director's cut dropping on this channel very, very soon. I hope you enjoy it. All right, so let's start talking about the Vectiv Enduris, starting as always with the things that I like. The rocker shape. So this is really what sort of sets these shoes apart from other shoes that you might be familiar with in any trail line. As I mentioned in the intro, they are very similar to Pearl Izumi models. The Pearl Izumi Trail N3 or M2 were those shoes that had a bit more stack height, a bit more midsole underfoot, but also maintained that rocker shape. I missed it from the Pearl Izumi shoes. I think a lot of us missed those Pearl Izumi shoes. These North Face Vectiv shoes bring it back in a really nice polished package, very durable package. Once you get used to it, it's a really nice feeling underfoot, wanting to sort of propel you forward, constantly moving. It does take a couple of runs to just become familiar with it, and as soon as you do, you don't even think about it as much. You just kind of feel the shoe moving you forward. It's cool, and I'm glad to see it back. The midsole and the TPU plate. So all three of the Vectiv shoes, the Enduris, the Infinite, and the Flight Vectiv, have some sort of plate, whether it's TPU, as in the Enduris, the Pebax, which is in the Infinite, or the carbon plate in the Flight. I actually really like the TPU plate because I think it offers enough protection underfoot with that additional stack of midsole cushioning, as well as providing a bit of spring in your step. So you're getting a lot of the benefits of having a plate, very similar to the Saucony Endorphin Speed. You get a lot of the benefits without all the quirks, the high price tag, and everything like that. So I'm enjoying this orange TPU plate in the Enduris a lot. And I think the midsole is also nice and responsive, yet not overly so. It's not fighting you. Overall, the shoe just begins to feel really good underfoot with plenty of protection, and I'm really enjoying it. The upper mesh. So this is specifically in comparison to other Vectiv shoes. I'm a fan of this mesh. It's nice and light, has a little bit of give to it, but it's also quite durable and breathable. It's different from something like the Flight Vectiv because it doesn't feature panels of that matrix or Kevlar fabric, which can be quite abrasive. So I'm finding this to be a really comfortable, well-rounded, soft upper that gives you plenty of comfort through the midfoot. And finally, durability. I'm actually pleasantly surprised at how well this shoe is holding up. Again, with nearly 200 miles of running in this shoe, I mean, any shoe that's white is going to be dirty, but everything else is holding up really well. It does take some time to break this shoe in. I'll talk about that in a minute here, but overall, no seams are splitting, no welds are coming undone. Everything is holding up really well, especially the outsole. We still got plenty of lug life. So for the model of Vectiv shoes that's at the bottom as far as price is concerned, it's doing really well, holding up really well, and that's a good thing. That being said, it's not all pasta and hot lasagna. There are a couple of things that I dislike about the Enduris. Let's get to those now. The tongue. It is a loose, standalone tongue. There's no gusset. There's nothing to keep it centered or attached down other than just a little loophole here through the laces. Very traditional, very old school. And I think there's so much technology out there today to keep a tongue in place that when you see one that sort of slides all over the place. It gets tedious and annoying, and especially in a shoe that I do feel you have to lock down pretty securely with this lacing system. When you have a tongue that slides kind of all over the place, it becomes a bit of an issue, especially across the top of the forefoot. I miss those tongue gussets here in the Vectiv Enduris. Drainage. So this is a surprising problem that I had with this shoe. A lot of runs now where I'm running through inclement conditions or really sloppy conditions, I find that this shoe squeaks and squishes and doesn't drain water properly. I don't know where the water is getting into that's causing that, whether it's between the plate and the midsole, the insole and the plate, whatever's happening is causing the shoes to be quite noisy, quite tedious, and that is a drainage issue overall. And finally, break-in. So these shoes do require a bit of break-in. In my experience, anywhere from 20 to 30 miles will open the shoe up a lot more. Right out of the box, they're not quite as comfortable as one would expect from the highest stack, highest cushioned Vectiv shoe. They do just require some miles to get broken in. But once you break them in, they become a different shoe entirely. That is a thing that I really dislike in some shoes, is a break-in period. I like them to be good just right out of the box. So it is certainly something to note here on the Vectiv Enduris. Regardless, that's pretty much it for my dislikes. So in conclusion, the Vectiv Enduris will be the most approachable shoe in the Vectiv line. There's plenty of cushion and protection for an ultra or beyond. Obviously, this is the same shoe that Dylan Bowman wore on his FKT around the Mount Rainier Wonderland Trail, 93 miles, 24,000 feet of gain. So they're gonna be plenty durable, give you plenty of life. I'd say this is a fantastic choice for ultra runners who do like a bit of responsive feel, but also a shoe that is forgiving enough to last you those long distances, those long hours on the trail. Not so responsive that you're having to combat the midsole material. Also not so soft where you're just getting squish and a lot of muscle fatigue. It'll work in all sorts of conditions, both weather and trail, and has become one of my favorite new trail runners. Let's get a little bit more specific, starting with build quality. It's built quite well. You're gonna get plenty of protection with that TPU plate, the more responsive midsole, plenty of stack height. The materials themselves come together in a really nice, durable package. You're gonna get plenty of miles out of them. So far, holding up quite well for me. Comfort, this is where this shoe kind of shines as a more responsive runner that gives you plenty of protection and comfort. Be prepared for a bit of a break-in period, anywhere from 20 to 30 miles in this shoe. Once it begins to adapt to your foot, once you begin to adapt to it, everything begins to align, and comfort is right there. Fit, so this is the more accommodating, I would say, of any of the Vectiv line. So that's sort of what helps this fit better than the other offerings. And I talk a lot about that in the Flight Vectiv review. I don't have necessarily an issue with the fit of the shoe, but getting a good lockdown is important, and having plenty of space up front in the toe box is gonna be important as well. Price, at $139, that is the lowest of the Vectiv trail running shoes. So one may think that at that lower price point, you're getting less shoe. That's not the case. I'd say at $139, that's a really good price point for the shoe. You're gonna get plenty of miles, plenty of life out of it. The fact you get a plate, the fact you get a lot of stack height, and a shoe that will last you a lot of miles, I think you get a lot of bang for your buck. And finally, looks. Clearly it's very dirty, and that's because it's white. This is the same note that I had with the Brooks Catamount. It's surprising to create a white trail running shoe, especially a whole line of white shoes. So of course I'm gonna call them a little bit on this. It doesn't stay white very long. There's unity throughout the entire Vectiv line, which is really strong from a branding perspective. So while I don't necessarily like white as a trail running color, I appreciate the design. And it's the same that I said with the Brooks Catamount, which is sort of one of those like, white trail running shoe, come on. Bringing us to our final criteria. Is the Vectiv Enduris a buy, try, or a why? I think at this point, you get it. For me, this is a buy, because I think at $139, you're getting a lot. You get some new technology. You also get to experience some of the same sensations that we had when we were running in Pearl Izumi shoes from 5-6 years ago. They managed to cram a lot into this package, so I think it's a great bang for your buck. A lot of fun in this shoe. And now my question turns to you. What do you guys think of the new Vectiv line, specifically the Enduris? Of course, I have my review for the Flight Vectiv, which is a bit different experience in the shoe, so I encourage you to go check out that review as well. If you have any more questions, want more information, or you want to get a pair for yourself, of course, I have links in the description. They are affiliate links that'll take you over to Running Warehouse. That's where you can get these shoes. It supports the channel. It costs you nothing. Consider it if you are even interested in checking these shoes out. That's it. If you like this video, make sure you click the thumbs up button, subscribe to the channel, click the notification bell, all of the YouTube hoobledy-goo. And over there, plenty of other social networks to follow along for more information on different movies and films and reviews and everything like that. At the bottom, patreon.com/thegingerrunner. That's how you can support this channel while simultaneously joining the GR crew, where we do daily live streams. We talk about running. We have a really cool challenge coming up in March called March Madness Bingo. It is going to be a lot of fun for the GR crew. Consider joining right over there. That's it, everyone. Thank you so much. for tuning in to today's review. Get out there, train hard, race harder, and party the hardest. We'll see you guys next week. Bye-bye.